Congratulations to the great class of 2019. Allow me to salute each and every one of you, not only for the achievement of graduating from the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, but also for making the decision 4, or as earlier said, 5 or even 6 years ago, to enroll in the Academy and become a part of our great industry. I shall also salute those of you who have committed to careers in the U.S. Navy, the Marine Corps, or other branches of the service. Your commitment and dedication demand respect. Your class should take satisfaction in knowing that not only have you weathered your share of adversity in getting through your course of study, but also that you have persevered through the changes, institutional changes at the Academy, with the delayed C-year program, with the government shutdown, and with all the challenges that came with that. It is absolute that not only you as individuals, but also the Academy will be better off for having gone through this test. I'm sure there are more than a few of you out there today that have decidedly mixed feelings about your experience at Kings Point. When I was standing in your position 40 years ago, I made a solemn oath and covenant to myself. I would not shave again, and I would not be coming back through Victory Gate. The first covenant was broken about 25 years later when one of my daughters looked at me and pointed out that my beard was turning white and I looked like Grandpa. I shaved the next morning. The second and most solemn covenant was broken about 5 years ago when I came back through Victory Gate to meet with an employer on behalf of my union. You will find that no matter what your feelings are now, that with the tincture of time, your appreciation of your experience here and your gratitude for the wonderful opportunity that our Uncle Sam has given us will grow year by year. My sea year alone was a life-transforming and magical experience. For those of you shipping out, you are the men and women fulfilling the promise of the Merchant Marine Academy, founded during the Second World War to deliver our nation's commerce and the munitions of our country to what was left of the free world. In the words of Sir Walter Raleigh, whoever commands the trade of the world commands the riches of the world. While the U.S. Merchant Marine no longer commands the trade of the world, we remain essential to the economic, military, and homeland security of our nation. We have proved that in peace and war since 1775. As you embark on your careers, you will quickly find out that your education has just begun. Life is a great teacher, and aboard ship, as you may have discovered during your sea year, some of the most valuable teachers come from the most unlikely sources, and sometimes the lessons are painful. But as you have learned at this institution, if you persevere, if you have determination, and you listen and you grow, you will weather whatever storm approaches. No matter what path you have chosen to take, remember those who came before you and built the industry that we have today. While far from perfect and fraught with hazards, what we have is precious, and it will soon be your duty to preserve it for the next generation. You are all acquainted with Furuseth Hall. I hope, as part of your plebe knowledge, that you recall and appreciate that the hall was named for that single-minded, austere, and zealous Norwegian seaman, Andrew Furuseth, who in 1885 was one of the founders of what became the Sailors' Union of the Pacific. In an era where brutality, virtual indentured servitude, and incredible hardship was often the standard for seamen aboard American vessels, Andrew Furuseth made it his life's work to improve their lot. His crowning achievement, along with Senator Fighting Bob La Follette of Wisconsin, was the Seamen's Act of 1915. This legislation was the first comprehensive federal law protecting the rights, living conditions, working conditions, and wages of seamen. What followed, often under the threat of impending world war, but always most vigorously pushed by American labor, were key bills, including the Shipping Act of 1916, the Jones Act of 1920, the Merchant Marine Acts of 1936 and 1970, and the Maritime Security Program of 1996. These bills and other key legislative acts preserved and built the modern U.S. Merchant Marine. Without them, as said earlier, our Merchant Marine would have been completely flagged out to such flag states as Panama, Liberia, or the Marshall Islands, or it would have been completely disenfranchised of American citizen mariners. Family living wages, health care, retirement security, and the generally decent conditions that prevail in our industry, in both union contracted companies that have been organized and in non-union companies that maintain acceptable standards to avoid unions, were established through countless struggles, sacrifice, and toil by those who came before us. Do not lose sight of the fact that unlicensed seamen, marine officers, engine and deck, mariners of all stripes, and longshoremen built the conditions that we have today and that make maritime careers and going to sea worthwhile. It is an ongoing struggle to maintain those conditions. One of the most symbolic commitments and symbols of our national commitment to the Merchant Marine is the maintenance and promotion of our alma mater. The government's commitment to Kings Point directly reflects its commitment to the Merchant Marine. The recent positive changes at the Academy, coupled with the almost unbelievable funding of the Maritime Security Multi-Purpose Training Vessels, and the government's steadfast support of the Jones Act, despite the relentless and dishonest attacks upon it, demonstrate that support. Taken together, these are tremendous achievements of Secretary of Transportation Elaine Chao and my most esteemed classmate from the good class of 1979, Maritime Administrator Mark Busby. Thank you, Secretary Chao. Thank you, Admiral Busby, and thank you, Dr. Peter Navarro and Admiral Buono. I'll say a few words about Mark Busby. Unlike myself, who was a long-haired kid from San Francisco who showed up at Kings Point in 1975 only looking for a way to catch a ship outbound through the Golden Gate, my classmate Buzz came prepped, primed, and 100% ready to go. And go he has. It was apparent to all of us in our class, even to the most dedicated zombos such as myself, that Buzz was and is the real deal. He remained a dedicated leader throughout his career, faithful to his mission, whether as regimental commander of Kings Point, in command of numerous warships, in command at Guantanamo Bay, as commander of military sea lift, and now, thankfully, as maritime administrator. He is a true leader that cares deeply about the people under his charge. In his words, it's about the mission and the people. What better statement can there be from the leader of any organization? Remembering the people is all about one thing: respect. Unions were built around the concept of mutual respect and collective action. Treat your shipmates with respect. In your careers, you will be working with men and women from all sectors of society and walks of life. Where you come from, Kings Point, across the water at Fort Schuyler, or up the hawse pipe, means very little aboard ship. It's what you know, it's what you do, and how you treat others that has meaning. Treating others with respect is not only the right thing to do, it's common sense. It may be the AB, the wiper, or the messman that points out something wrong that may avert disaster. And it may be that grizzled, gruff, and downright nasty old-timer that points out what is most important about the job at hand or life in general. Our industry is a challenging and a dangerous one. Technological change is happening faster than ever. While the much-touted autonomous surface ship may not be economically feasible for ocean-going vessels for many decades to come, change is a certainty. Rather than fearing replacement by automation, in my mind, the challenge will be to maintain the skills necessary to adapt to technical changes on the job and in living and working in an increasingly austere and very heavily monitored shipboard environment. The revolution in shipboard communications, coupled with a corporate-friendly international regulatory scheme and the increased criminalization of maritime accidents, makes seafaring now a far more stressful, dehumanized profession than it once was. The International Ship Management Code and its associated safety management system, which are enshrined as part of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, are designed to ensure safety and the use of best practices by ocean carriers. However, this elaborate regulatory scheme can easily be a double-edged sword. As you rise in your careers to positions of higher responsibility, particularly as masters and chief engineers, you will be confronted with difficult choices and the inherent tension between safety and the demand to get the job done. Maintain your integrity as a human being and make the right choices if and when this happens. Do your duty at all times as a merchant marine officer. And remember the adage, the schedule is more flexible than the ship. Admiral Busby and I and our other classmates here today have lost 2 of our number to marine disasters that should not have happened. Our classmate, Assistant Engineer Stephen Wickbull, was lost when the SF Golden Dolphin blew up at sea in 1982. And our classmate, Third Mate Richard Robbins, was lost at sea the following year aboard the Marine Electric. Tragically, Steve Wickbull's brother George, who was an engine cadet at the time, also went down with the Marine Electric. These calamities and others, including the horrifying loss of the El Faro, could have been prevented had the right people spoken up at the right time and had the rules of good seamanship been followed. The regulatory scheme in place now is designed around the prompt reporting of all major safety concerns to vessel owners and operators. Instant communication makes this possible. But there are many pressures on senior officers, marine inspectors, and company personnel to look the other way and keep the ship moving. Don't be that officer who remains silent when safety issues need to be addressed. But in saying that, make absolutely certain that you always leave a paper trail that protects you in discharging your duty. Above all, learn your trade. There's no substitute for knowledge and experience. This takes time and application. Learn your job, look around, and figure out what the supervisor is doing, both in supervising you and others. Look at the big picture. Finally, let me say that there are many pathways in our profession. I'm proud to say that my home has been the International Organization of Masters, Mates, and Pilots since the day I walked out of Vickery Gate and took a job that no one else would take on the very same day that I graduated. MMP has been representing masters, mates, and pilots since 1887. We take pride in being part of a genuine trade union tradition, in promoting better regulation and legislation for our industry, and in improving our working conditions, and in elevating our standing as professional men and women. I can only recommend that you choose the pathway that is most in line with the lifestyle that you desire. The best job security are the credentials that you carry with your license, the knowledge that you carry in your head, and the experience that you have under your belt. As professional mariners, if you know your job and persevere, and we know the class of 2019 can persevere, you will succeed. I salute you all. I wish you good fortune, and I offer you the following engine order, or as my engineering comrades would prefer to say, the following engine suggestion. Full ahead. Congratulations, good luck, and thank you very much.